Good morning to all. I myself, Vidya Bhushan, lecturer physiotherapy CRC Sikkim, would like to invite you all on behalf of whole NIPBD family and CRC Sikkim team. The topic of today's webinar is networking and resource mobilization for quality services delivery for individual having the multiple sclerosis. On the occasion of World Multiple Sclerosis Day, today's webinar aim is to create awareness regarding multiple sclerosis. As we are aware of that, around 2.3 million people around the world is suffering from this condition. And the aim of to celebrate this global multiple sclerosis day is to create global solidarity and hope for the future. The today's aim is to build community connection, self connection, and connection to quality care of multiple sclerosis. So the program schedule for today webinar is welcome address by resident coordinator ma'am, and then address by our respected director sir from the NIPBD Dehradun. Then there will be the presentation of medical overview of multiple sclerosis done by Dr. Gunjan Kumar, and rehabilitation management of multiple sclerosis is done by Dr. Daspreet Kaur ma'am. And again one of the presentation where the experience shared on multiple sclerosis and initiative associated with the various organizations of multiple sclerosis in India. So now I would like to call our resident coordinator ma'am to please welcome our distinguished guest, our resource person, and our participants. So please ma'am, I would like to call resident coordinator ma'am to please address our guest.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it is indeed a great pleasure to extend my warmest welcome to everyone here in the webinar on behalf of CRC Sikkim. Now, first of all, we sincerely welcome our respected Dr. Himangsu Das, Director NIPBD Dehradun, and we are all aware for his dynamism in work ethics in the field of disability, rehabilitation and empowerment of persons with disabilities for over more than 25 years. This very webinar would not have been possible without his constant support and guidance. However, unfortunately, sir will not be able to join and grace our webinar today due to urgent engagement on an important meeting. We are sorry for that. Now, I would like to extend the most warm welcome to our resource persons of today's webinar on the topic, networking and resource mobilization for quality service delivery for individuals having multiple sclerosis. Dr. Gunjan Kumar, who had done his MD and DM from NIMHANS, former HOD, Department of Neurology, AIIMS Patna, and is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Neurology, PMCH Patna, and also serving as senior consultant neurologist at Bihar Neuro.
Thank you.
Now we welcome Mrs. Darshpreet Kaur, who had done her MPT and is a specialist in neurology and psychosomatic disorder. Mrs. Darshpreet Kaur is currently working as chief physiotherapist at Bihar Neuro and also a life member of Multiple Sclerosis Society of India. And last but not the least, we welcome our resource person, Sri Anirban Banerjee, Honorable Joint Secretary of MSSI Kolkata Chapter, and also a member of General Council MSSI Head Office. Sri Anirban Banerjee is also an individual with multiple sclerosis who will be sharing his experience on multiple sclerosis and initiations taken up in association with various organizations of multiple sclerosis. And also I would like to mention that I personally have the experience of multiple sclerosis, as my father had the same condition. We hardly knew about this condition and the unavailability of rehabilitation services at that time. And I wish if this kind of webinar and programs were there, it would have been a great help to increase the awareness and rehabilitate individuals with multiple sclerosis. So we are very grateful to everyone for sparing your valuable time to provide us your knowledge on today's topic in spite of the busy schedule. And moving forward, I would like to hand over to Mr. Vidyabhushan sir. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for your heartiest and warm welcome to our respected distinguished resource person and participants. Sir, Dr. Gunjan Kumar sir, it's very presentation, that is the medical overview of multiple sclerosis. And welcome, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank the CRC for this opportunity to present my medical overview on multiple sclerosis. I would like to thank the organizers, especially Vidyabhushan ji, for this opportunity. So, without delaying further, I would like to start. These are my subheadings in which I'll be presenting. So I'll try to keep it brief and simple, as multiple sclerosis is something which we neurologists deal with, but it is unfortunately underdiagnosed in India, undertreated, or even sometimes misdiagnosed. So this is something what I wanted to bring out in my lecture. This is our nervous system, and you can see here, one is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system, it consists of the brain and then the spinal cord. So multiple sclerosis is predominantly disease of the central nervous system. So we'll be dealing with the brain and the spinal cord. From the anterior horn cell, the root, radicals and all is the peripheral nervous system. So multiple sclerosis doesn't affect these structures, predominantly affects the brain and the spinal cord. So this is a cross section of the brain. On the right side is the brain and left side is the spinal cord. So what is the basic difference in this? You have the gray matter and you have the white matter. The arrangement of gray matter and white matter is ulta. Ulta in the sense is that gray matter in the brain is outside and white matter is inside. While in the spinal cord, it is the white matter is outside and the gray matter is inside. When the nervous system and all was being studied, we all know from evolution that the invertebrates came first, then followed the vertebrates. So in invertebrates, this is a giant squid which has got the largest eye in the animal kingdom. So this has been studied extensively for its nervous system, as it has one of the thickest axons or thickest nerves in any of the animals. So the thickness of this nerve is almost 1 millimeter. This is because to increase the speed of conduction, it's like a road. जो road जितना पतला होगा, जितना narrow होगा, उतना slow होगा traffic. And जितना wide होगा, जितना चौड़ा होगा, उतना ही fast होगा traffic. So similarly with the unmyelinated nerves, this is the case. You need thicker nerves or you want bigger nerves so that the conduction is faster and the animal can respond faster. So giant squids, they live very deep inside the oceans, thousands of meters, and they are hunted by the sperm whales. So they need to react fast. So for that, they have these thick axons, and then the velocity of the nerve conduction is almost 25 meters per second. Most of the unmyelinated fibers in the invertebrate, the velocity is just 1 meter per second. As evolution happened, this vertebrates started developing. So vertebrates, we have the dinosaurs, you have the mammals, you have the birds and all. So the need for speed became more and more with time. This is a diplodocus, and the diplodocus, some of the diplodocus, they became almost 30 meters in length. So imagine you have an unmyelinated fiber and some animal, some predator bites the tail of the diplodocus. What happens? The nerve impulse goes to the brain and it comes back again to the tail. So 30 meter one way, 30 meter back. So it will take almost 30 seconds to 60 seconds for the dinosaur to respond. So 1 minute लगेगा इसको कोई अगर इसको bite करेगा. So that time in real time is huge. So with development of the vertebrae, वो आपका जो nerve है in vertebrae में, you cannot go on expanding, you cannot go on becoming thicker and thicker. So to circumvent that, myelin started happening, myelination started happening. It was a very, very good process. So in short, जब हम लोग ये with evolution and need for faster speed, सिर्फ उसका nerve का जो है thickness या उसका width है, we couldn't go on increasing it. So इसीलिए हमारा myelination start हुआ. So the myelin was a very efficient this one chemical and all, and with time the speed and all उसी thickness में बढ़ गया उसमें. So this is like comparing your snail mail versus email. Email क्या होता है? खटाक से भेजिए पहुंच गया. आप लेटर भेजिए, रजिस्ट्री भेजिए, स्पीड पोस्ट भेजिए, everything depends on that also. So which are the cells responsible for myelin? These are the oligodendrocytes. These are the various cells in our body. You have the astrocytes, which are responsible for the blood-brain barrier. You have the microglia, the oligodendrocytes. So oligodendrocytes are the ones which are responsible for the myelination of the axons. So multiple sclerosis, jisme, these are the major cells which are affected here. So the conduction in myelination is different in unmyelinated fibers. When you look at this animation, it is a saltatory conduction, and unmyelinated में you do not have saltatory conduction. Saltatory का मतलब क्या होता है? You have these axons are there, उसके ऊपर myelination है. बीच में, if you look here, there are the gaps over here. These are the nodes of Ranvier. So it goes from here, it's like hair and the tortoise. So myelination में क्या होता है? If you look again, hair क्या करता है? It hops from one place to another. Then it keeps on hopping. And tortoise का क्या होता है? वो slow आपका जाता है. So this is the difference between a myelinated fiber and an unmyelinated fiber. So हमारे body में there are different types of nerves. You can look here that the speed of the conduction, it depends on the diameter and the myelination. So the myelination, अगर हमारे for an example, अगर हमारे body में अगर हमें if you wanted 50 meter per second of conduction in all the nerves, and if all the nerves were unmyelinated, the diameter of a spinal cord would have been 1 meter. So imagine 1 meter thick spinal cord. It is that efficient. It's almost 2,000 to 15,000 times as efficient compared to a similar thickness unmyelinated fiber. So pathophysiology of multiple sclerosis, just remember 3 words. First, it is immune mediated. Second is it's an inflammatory and it affects myelinated axons. So we have the innate immunity, which is non-specific, and we have the adaptive immunity, which is like specific. So adaptive immunity में basically to simplify the things, T cells होते हैं, B cells होते हैं. So T cells में cytotoxic T cells are there. They damage the blood-brain barrier and they affect the myelination sheath. Now what is there? You have the cytotoxic T cells, and then again you have the regulatory T cells. So regulatory T cells are the ones which is like the policeman. So एक antisocial element गया, उसने कुछ damage किया. So the regulatory T cells should be able to stop this damage and prevent it from going further. But इसमें क्या होता है? These regulatory T cells also, they are like encouraging the cytotoxic T cells and further damage occurs. Finally, the B cells, they come into play and they all together, they damage the myelination sheath and they damage the oligodendrocytes, they damage the blood-brain barrier. There are multiple things, but in short, the myelin sheath over the nerves and all is damaged. So this is the same thing. You have your immune system. Because of some reason, because of your genetic makeup या कोई external जो stimulus है, environmental, there's an interplay between this. किसी भी कारण से the immune system goes haywire. It damages the myelin And then what happens is there's a communication breakdown. And this leads to the symptoms what we see in multiple sclerosis. The cells mainly affected are the oligodendrocytes, which are responsible for myelination of these axons. So you have similarly this animation, same thing. You have the T cell, it goes, it damages the myelination sheet, and then what happens? There's a blockage, and there's a communication breakdown here. So what happens? There's an inflammatory reaction, following which there's a demyelination, and following which finally it leads to gliosis, which is the irreversible loss. This is similar to a wire. आप लोग आजकल टीवी में देखते होंगे, there are lots of advertisements कि ये वायर है, वो वायर है, fire resistant, this, that. So you have a protective covering over the wire, and what happens is that when you take off the protective covering, the wire is liable to damage, and the wire is liable for short circuiting. Similarly, इसमें क्या होता है, जो myelin sheath, the ऊपर का जो covering है, which makes the nervous system and all, that is damaged, so it is removed. This is like just a comparison to understand what happens in multiple sclerosis. The pathological process which happens and which is known as demyelinating plaques, the formation of demyelinating plaques. These plaques, when you look in the brain, I had told that the brain, the white matter is inside and the gray matter is outside. So in the white matter, you have the development of these plaques, which are picked up by MRI, and they are these pathological lesions. In the spinal cord also, similarly, you have the plaques, which also, sorry, this is the same again, the brainstem, and this is the spinal cord, in which again you have the outside white matter which gets damaged. So जहाँ का white matter damage होता है, जहाँ पर lesion होता है, the patient develops symptoms accordingly. So clinical manifestation, like who will develop multiple sclerosis? We are not very sure, but there are the interplay between the genetic factors, environmental factors, and some unknown infections. So environmental factors which have been like proposed are like low vitamin D, the country you live in, that is the latitude, the altitudes, and high socioeconomic status. These are some of the factors which have been seen. Unfortunately, it affects the most productive age group, the age group in which you are most energetic, most active, that is 20 to 40 years old, 40 years. There are some viruses and bacteria which have been proposed that they, like HHV6, chlamydia, Epstein-Barr virus, it has been proposed that they have, because of the infection of these, it starts, but still we do not have a definite action. But definitely there's some genetic factors, as the chances in identical twin is almost 33% as compared to 0.1% in the general population. Any reason why I chose these identical twins? Any Harry Potter fans? Okay, I'll give the answer in the last. So the prevalence in our country, initially MS was said to be, our country was said to be a low prevalence, but now it's been shifting from low to moderate. Few of the reasons can be, initially we did not have many neurologists, we did not have availability of the MRIs. MRI was limited in mainly the tier 1 cities and big hospitals. Now with the spread of MRIs even to tier 2 cities, with the spread of the neurologists, access to neurologists and all, and better understanding of the disease and better work of the NGOs and other things, over the time we have understood that multiple sclerosis, what in multiple sclerosis is, and with time the diagnosis and all is increasing. So our country, it has shifted from a low to a moderate now, moderate prevalence. What are the symptoms? The symptoms can be varied. Some common symptoms are like eye pain, blurry vision, and dull colors. This is known as optic neuritis. Unfortunately, what happens in these cases is that most of the patients, they land up with ophthalmologists who do a CT scan, give steroids, and the patient improves. They are not worked up further, and MRI and other investigations are not done. So unless they have recurrent episodes, sometimes there's a delay in the diagnosis or there's a misdiagnosis of this. Apart from that, the patient may have tingling or numbness, the patient may have abnormal sensation in one side of the body, the patient may have bladder bowel problems, tightness of the limbs, trouble in walking, giddiness, dizziness, fatigue. Fatigue is one very important symptom of multiple sclerosis. Sometimes what happens is that patients, the fatigue is different from the usual fatigue. It comes very rapidly, you're working and suddenly you get fatigued and all. उसमें क्या होता है कि the caregivers and all, or even your colleagues and all, they think कि नहीं ये नाटक कर रहा है, इसको नहीं है, इसको काम नहीं करना है या ऐसे ही कह रहा है. But the fatigue of MS is very disabling at times, and it is sudden in onset many times. So fatigue is a very important symptom of multiple sclerosis. Apart from that, you can have slowly cognitive problems, like you're a high functioning individual, you work with numbers, you work in bank, you start making minor mistakes, then you have depression, or you have behavioral changes, you start getting irritable, you start having these symptoms. So these are some of the symptoms. So it depends on what structure is involved and what are these symptoms. Fatigue, almost 84% of the patients may have fatigue. Others have pain, bladder dysfunction, working problems. So this is just an image. This is known as internuclear ophthalmoplegia. What happens when you look at this in the picture A, the left eye of the patient is looking straight while the right eye is slightly deviated. Now when we ask the patient in picture B to look to the right side, the left eye doesn't go medially, it doesn't go to the middle as it should, and the right eye goes laterally, it goes to the side. Similarly, when the patient is asked to the left side, now the right eye doesn't go to the middle, or it doesn't adduct in medical terms, while the left eye abduct, or it goes to the side. So there's a discoordination between the eye movements. So this is known as internuclear ophthalmoplegia. Other symptoms which are typically seen in MS is if the spinal cord, if apparently the cervical cord is affected, you can have the Lermite sign. In this, when you bend your neck or when you flex your neck, there is an electric shock-like or a tingling-like sensation which travels from your neck down along the spine. This can be painful quite a few times. It can be very painful or very disabling. And this can also be seen in cervical spondylosis, but it is typically seen in multiple sclerosis. Other thing is a Utah phenomenon. Utah phenomenon is worsening with heat. A patient with multiple sclerosis, if he takes a hot sauna, hot bath, or when the days are hot, the patient may have severe symptoms, or the patient may have worsening of symptoms like increased fatigue, increased weakness, or blurring of vision. So this is known as Utah phenomenon. So to summarize clinical features, it can be in the productive age group. Vision may be involved, Lermite sign, spinal cord, fatigue, heat sensitivity, bladder symptoms, weakness, cognitive symptoms, sensory symptoms. So all sorts of symptoms can be seen in multiple sclerosis. These are the 4 types typically of multiple sclerosis. The most common first is the relapsing remitting type. So when you look at the graph, what is known as relapsing remitting? You have an episode, then the patient comes back to the baseline, the patient improves significantly. Then after some time, you have another such episodes. What happens is over the time, these episodes start leaving some residual deficits or residual weaknesses. So this is known as relapsing remitting. And many of these patients over the time, as they continuously have episodes, they turn into secondary progressive. So you have here episodes, and then finally the disability still remains. And then again you have another relapses with further disability, and finally you have the disease which slowly starts progressing. Sometimes you have diseases which are progressing from the start only, from the beginning only, from the first episode only. You have the progressive worsening of the symptoms. This is known as primary progressive. You also have the progressive relapsing type, but the most common type is the relapsing remitting, which many a times again shifts to the secondary progressive type. So this is over the years. This is a natural history of the multiple sclerosis. You have the episodes with treatment, they improve. Then again, you have another episodes which improve. There are some residual deficits, the deficits increase. And over the time, what happens is you have the episodes also, plus further there's a progressive increase of the symptoms also. So diagnosis, there are various criteria. One of the most commonly used criteria is the McDonald criteria. I'll not go into detail of this McDonough criteria, but it has few components, like it is the number of attacks. Apart from that, it is like DIS and DIT are the terms which are there in this. DIS is disseminated in space and DIS is dissemination in time. So when you investigate a patient and you in MRI and other things, you have these lesions, which are like some of them are old lesions and some of them are new lesions. So to simplify these things, this is known as disseminated in time. Others disseminated in space. So brain may you have various areas, then you have the spinal cord area. So when these different areas are involved, then like say spinal cord is involved and the periventricular area is involved. So these are two different areas. So this is known as disseminated in space. So these terms are important and these are included in the criteria for diagnosis of MS. So investigation, the most important investigation of after your clinical diagnosis and history taking and examination is the MRI. So MRI now is easily available, preferably 3 Tesla MRI compared to 1.5 Tesla. However, 1.5 Tesla will also suffice in most of the conditions. This is a normal MRI. You have the T1 weightage, you have the T2 weighted, and the flare. These are the 3 commonly used sequences. So T1 में क्या है? How do you identify the T1? The CSF here is black in T1. And white matter जो है वो light दिखता है and gray matter will be dark. So white is white and gray is gray and the CSF appears black. Then we go to the T2. T2 is the easiest to recognize because here the CSF is bright here and the white matter is dark here and the gray matter is light. It becomes ulta compared to T1. And now flare. So flare is in short nothing but इसमें जो CSF का जो signal है, CSF का signal in T2 is that is suppressed. So what we have, we do not have the CSF signal, but here the white appears dark and the gray appears light. So it is like T2 weightage minus the CSF signal changes. So this is a normal MRI. This is a normal T1, normal T2 and flare. So what do we see here? This is a T2 weightage. You have here signal changes are there. Over here, same signal changes in T1 is there. It becomes dark over here. This is a flare. So flare is useful, especially जब ventricles होते हैं, यहाँ पे CSF होते हैं, to delineate the lesion. यहाँ पे what happens sometimes, the CSF also oozes out. There's gliosis and other changes, so it becomes difficult to delineate कि हाँ lesion कहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है, whether it's the CSF or whether it's a lesion. So flare is very useful over here. You can see here. In flare, you have the CSF is suppressed, so there are so many lesions over here, you can see here. And this is the T1 with contrast. GD stands for gadolinium, which is a contrast used in MRI. So you can see here these lesions, these are like ring जैसे ring की तरह है. These are the enhancing regions. So इसको enhancement, we see this is enhancement. So these are the enhancing lesions. Similarly, this is a T2. Why is it T2 in the spinal cord? Because the CSF is bright over here, you can see here. And these are some of the lesions in the spinal cord. Typically, the cervical spinal cord is involved. And MS में the lesions in the spinal cord are not very long. Long का मतलब होता है कि 3 or more. When you count the vertebra, 1, 2, 3. So these are restricted just to one vertebral lesions. अगर 3 या 3 से ज़्यादा है तो it's very unlikely to be a MS lesions because MS lesions are small and they can be multiple. You see here, one lesion is there. You can see here, there's one lesion over here, one lesion over here. So this is in the brainstem and this is in the spine. So this is disseminated in space. Now again you have here, this is the flare, this is the T1 and this is the T2. So now we can see here, these are the black holes. Black holes means these are the already damaged जो हो चुके हैं. इसमें these are indicative of some previous lesions. So this is disseminated in time. You can see here, this is an active lesion and this is an old lesion. These are the black holes. So these are different ages. So this is like a disseminated in time. These are some of the plaques which I've said are pathophysiological of MS. This is the corpus callosum, and they are like finger-like projections. So these are known as Dawson's fingers. These are finger-like projections. So these are typically seen in multiple sclerosis. Again, you see here, this is a flare, this is a lesion. And you can see here, this is a contrast. So there's an enhancement. This is a ring type. Sometimes it's an open ring. So open ring is more specific for demyelinating. Open ring means एक side का, you can see here, one side here. This is an open. This is a spine. Can you make out different lesions here? You have in the brainstem, and here you have another lesion, you have lesions here. So there are multiple lesions, and in spinal cord, they are short lesions. They are not more than 3 or more. Another test that we do are evoked potentials. Most commonly, visual evoked potentials are done because optic symptoms or optic neuritis is very common in multiple sclerosis. So to check for like subclinical changes or this, when you have an optic nerve, it has got a myelin sheath, and when the myelin sheath is destroyed or it is affected, the conduction, as I had said, the velocity decreases. So we have here, this is a P100, usme P100, because this is 100 milliseconds where we get this. So this is the graph, and when it gets prolonged, that is the velocity and other things, that then we can say is that P100 is prolonged. Lumbar puncture now we normally don't do unless we want to pick up oligoclonal bands in CSF. These oligoclonal bands can be seen in other conditions also, but in MS it can be seen oligoclonal bands. So treatment of acute relapse is steroids, and treatment for further prophylaxis and other things are disease modifying drugs. So acute cases, we give methylprednisolone, that is a drug of choice. But the diagnosis, you have to be certain of diagnosis. You do the clinical symptoms, you do the investigations, you have the criteria and all is satisfied, put the patient on DMDs. But if the criteria is not satisfied, then we have to wait and other things are there. But in short, an acute relapse, give methylprednisolone. If the patient has multiple sclerosis, progressive symptoms and relapses, give the patient on disease modifying drugs. So there are various disease modifying drugs. Interferons are most commonly used. Interferon beta and all are used. So in India, we have a Reliance company which has brought out a cheaper version, but still it costs upwards of 10,000 per month for this injection. So can you imagine the financial burden on a patient with almost spending 10,000 per month on these drugs? Apart from this, the work is affected. Many of them, they lose their jobs. So it's quite a disabling disease at times. We have a lot of development in this. You have a lot of drugs which have come. There are the drugs in the injectable form. There are the oral forms, the IV infusion forms. So each drug has its own effect and each drug has its own side effect. Some of the side effects can be very severe and some of the side effects can be mild, like in interference and all, fever and all can be there, body ache and all can be there. There are some drugs like natalizumab in which rarely PML can occur. That is one condition in the brain. PML can occur, which can be life-threatening at times. So it depends on the drug. It depends on its effectivity and how strong it is, how immunosuppressive it is. And based on that, the side effects are there. So this is an adverse effects. So I'll not be going much into the details about this. But interferons, glatiramers, these are some of the commonly used in India. Interferons are very commonly used. Now, coming to a rehab person's perspective, what is important about multiple sclerosis? What you need to know is the EDSS scale. This is something used worldwide. It has scores from 0 to 10. Now, the most important change is from 4 to 6. When 4 is relatively severe disability, and 5 is when the disability affects full day, and 6 is when the patient requires assistance to walk. So this is the time when 4 to 6, when the maximum changes occur in a patient, or the patient becomes more disabled compared to what the patient was previously. So you need to know about this EDSS as it takes into many considerations. pyramidal, sensory, other things are there. It takes into these consideration, and it's a standardized method. So EDSS is commonly done to assess the disability in these patients. So 20% of RRMS patient convert to progressive form in 10 years. So initially you have the preclinical form, then you have the RRMS, followed by secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. And disability over the time, it increases. You have an episode which leaves some residual disability, following which finally when it goes to progressive stage, there's a progressive increase in the disability. So over the time, so you have here, when you see here, this is the 4 to 6 I had mentioned is the maximum change, like increased limitation and need for walking assistance. So at each stage, the rehabilitation protocol has to be individualized. So it has to be a teamwork. It has to be physical therapy, speech language therapy, occupational therapy, cognitive rehabilitation, vocational rehabilitation. And you need a teamwork, and you have to individualize, because each patient, the deficit and the problems may be different. Some patients, they may have bladder bowel problems. Other patients may have weakness problems. Some patients may have forgetfulness. Some patients may have speech problems. So based on that, it has to be individualized. Now, problem is that some people, they say that the MS patient shouldn't exercise because it leads to increase in body temperature and it leads to increased weakness. But this is not true. There are over 50 clinical trials who have said that there's a significant improvement in the motor power and other symptoms like fatigue with moderate exercise. Severe exercise shouldn't be given to multiple sclerosis patients. So with moderate exercise, there's been improvement in the cognition, there's improvement in the depressive symptoms. There's a lot of depressive, subclinical depression and other overt depressive symptoms also in these patients. So exercise and rehab is a must. It has to be tailored according to the patient's deficits, patient's unmet needs and other things. And these significantly improve the depressive and other symptoms also and improve the quality of life. So before conclusion, COVID and MS, in the first wave, COVID was seen surprisingly, almost all the patients, they had mild cases. But the second wave, now we have seen, we have lost few patients. So we'll come to know over the time what is the problem with the second wave. Now, if the patients are on immunomodulators, most of the immunomodulators can be continued, but if the patient has developed COVID, the stronger immunomodulators, which decrease the lymphocyte count and other things, they have to be withheld for a few days. And before starting any COVID, before starting any immunomodulators for newly diagnosed multiple sclerosis patients, screening for COVID is must. And to top it all, practice of optimal health safety, that is hand washing, maintaining social distance, maintaining quarantine and using soap and other things, and restricting going out and other things are the most important safety measures that a patient with multiple sclerosis can take. So challenges in our Indian context, the biggest challenge is timely diagnosis, because we do not know what multiple sclerosis is. Apart from neurologists, many of the neurologists also, we did not interact with multiple sclerosis patients much. There's a suboptimal referral of patients with multiple sclerosis, as like they go sometimes to physicians or they go to an ophthalmologist, and it's not picked up early. Apart from that, we do not have adequate financial support. We do not have MRIs, and we do not have MRIs still in Tier 3 cities. And there's an under-reporting or misreporting also. And misleading clinical symptoms can be there. If the patient presents with fatigue, it is sometimes taken as malingering, that he doesn't want to work or he or she doesn't want to work. Apart from that, lack of early initiation of treatment is there. Treatment is also costly. It places a lot of financial burden on a typical middle class family. So many of them, they drop out or they're erratic in taking this. Then finally relapses occur, the deficits occur. It becomes a vicious cycle. It becomes very difficult. So these are some of the things which we are facing. And to answer that twins question, so basically it's related to Harry Potter. The author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, her mother had multiple sclerosis. and she has donated large amounts of money in fight against multiple sclerosis. So this was the reason why I had put that twins photo in the genetic factors. So thank you all for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Your presentation with the picture and the simplified explanation will certainly fruitful to our participants. And in nutshell, I would like to say that due to the demyelination of the nerve fiber, which leads to the conduction of slow conduction of the nerve impulse, which is occur in the multiple sclerosis.